The battlefield was burning. Smoke covered the sky like a dark blanket. Broken ships lay on the ground. Metal was twisted. Fire moved slowly across the sand. The smell of fuel and blood mixed in the air. In the middle of that silent chaos, the Cub Leader was on his knees. His armor was cracked open at the side. Deep red blood ran down his fur and dripped onto the ground. His breathing was slow and heavy. Every breath looked painful. Around him, his soldiers stood frozen. They were taller, stronger, older, but none of them moved, because their leader had raised his hand. Step back. His voice was not loud. It was weak, but it carried power. One guard rushed forward anyway. Leader, please. You are bleeding badly. Let us help you. The cub slowly turned his head. His golden eyes were still sharp. I said, step back. The guard stopped. Even the enemy army, standing far across the broken field, did not attack. They were watching. The Cub Leader pressed one hand against his wound. Blood slipped through his fingers, but he did not fall. He forced himself to stand. The wind blew hard across the field, moving his torn cape behind him. He looked small compared to the destroyed machines around him, but no one saw him as small in that moment. Minutes earlier, he had done something impossible. The enemy had brought their strongest war machine, a giant armored titan that walked through fire and crushed tanks under its feet. It had shields no weapon could break. Many thought this was the end, but the Cub Leader had walked forward alone. He gave one command before leaving his army: hold position, and he faced the titan himself. There had been a bright explosion, a shock wave that pushed everyone to the ground. When the dust cleared, the titan was destroyed, but so was most of the land around it. And now the Cub Leader was bleeding. The enemy general stood at a distance, watching through a broken visor. His lips slowly curved into a smile. He survived, the general whispered. Interesting. Back on the field, the Cub Leader looked toward the sky. His soldiers noticed. Why was he not looking at his wound? Why was he not looking at them? He was looking up. The clouds above were dark and thick. They moved slowly, hiding something. A young soldier spoke quietly. Leader, what are you waiting for? The cub did not answer. Instead, he touched something under his broken armor. A small shape was hidden there. His fingers checked it carefully, as if making sure it was still safe. Then he spoke. This battle is not finished. The soldiers looked confused. The enemy machines were destroyed. The ground army was weak. They were already stepping back. What else could come? Suddenly, the air changed. A low sound filled the sky. Not loud, but deep, heavy, like something massive was moving behind the clouds. The enemy's soldiers began stepping back faster now. The enemy general's smile disappeared. The Cub Leader swayed slightly. He almost fell, but he forced himself to stay upright. One of his closest guards moved again. Leader, please. If you fall now. Step back, the cub shouted. This time his voice was stronger, sharp. Everyone froze again. His breathing became worse. Blood continued to fall. The ground below him was now dark red, but his eyes never left the sky. The low sound above became louder. The clouds slowly began to split. Something enormous was hidden there. The Cub Leader closed his eyes for one short second, almost like he was counting. Then he whispered softly, only loud enough for the closest guard to hear. Right on time. The guard's heart started racing. Leader, what did you do? The cub opened his eyes again. There was no fear inside them, only calm. I made sure, he said quietly, that they would show their real weapon. Above them, the clouds fully opened. A massive shadow appeared in the sky. It was bigger than anything they had seen before. Not a ground machine, not a simple warship. This was something else. The enemy's true power. The real commander's ship. It had been hiding, watching the entire fight, testing them, testing the young Cub Leader. The enemy general dropped to one knee in fear. This was not supposed to happen now. But the Cub Leader was still standing, bleeding, waiting. His soldiers finally understood. He had known. From the start, he knew the first attack was only a trap. He allowed himself to look weak. He allowed himself to stand alone. He forced a hidden enemy to reveal itself. And now, As the giant warship slowly moved down to the clouds, the Cub leader gave one final quiet order. Fall back, all units. This time, his soldiers did not argue. They obeyed, because they saw it now. Their leader was not refusing help, because he was proud. He was refusing help because something bigger was coming, and he needed them far away from him. As the shadow covered the battlefield, the Cub leader tightened his fist over the hidden object beneath his armor. The real battle was about to begin. The shadow swallowed the battlefield. The massive warship did not make a loud entrance. It did not fire. It did not roar. It simply hovered, silent, heavy, watching. Every soldier felt it in their chest, a pressure, like the air itself had become afraid. The Cub leader stood alone beneath it, bleeding, unmoving. His army had already fallen back, just as he ordered. They watched from a safe distance, confused and terrified. Leader, one whispered, "What is he doing?" Above, the enemy warship slowly rotated. A red light scanned the ground, searching. Then a deep mechanical voice echoed across the field. Target confirmed. Cub leader identified. The soldiers felt fear run through them. This was not an attack on the army. This was personal. The enemy general, now kneeling far away, smiled again. This was always about him, he muttered. The warship's underbelly opened. A cannon, larger than any building in the colony cities, lowered slowly. Energy gathered at its center. The sky turned red. The Cub leader did not move. Blood continued to drip from his fingers, but his eyes were calm, because he was not looking at the cannon. He was listening. A small sound inside his broken armor. A soft pulse. Beep, beep, beep. Hidden beneath the cracked plates was a small black device. No lights. No marks. Old. Human-made. His closest guard gasped from far away. He brought it. Years ago, humans warned the galaxy about this device. It was never meant to be used. It did not explode like normal weapons. It did not burn. It erased. Not just metal, not just machines. It erased energy. And the warship above was powered by a core of pure energy. The Cub leader coughed, dropping to one knee again. The cannon above was almost ready. Energy crackled in the air. The ground shook. The enemy commander's voice came down again. "Kneel, Cub leader. Accept surrender. Your army will live." The Cub slowly looked up. Blood covered half his face now. He smiled. "You already tested my army," he said quietly. "But you never tested me." The warship paused for a second. Then the cannon fired. A beam of pure red energy shot down toward him. In that exact second, the Cub crushed the black device in his hand. There was no explosion, no fire, no loud sound, just silence. The red beam vanished before touching him. The cannon above flickered. The massive warship trembled. Inside the ship, alarm screamed. Energy core unstable. Power collapse detected. The red light scanning the battlefield died instantly. The sky went dark again. The soldiers stared in shock. The warship did not explode. It simply began to fall. Not fast, not dramatic, just powerless. Like a giant beast that suddenly forgot how to breathe. The Cub leader fell fully to the ground now. The device had done its work, but it also drained him. His armor went dark. His body shook. Far above, the warship tilted sideways and crashed into the mountains beyond the battlefield. The impact shook the planet. Dust rose into the sky. Silence followed. The enemy ground forces dropped their weapons. Their connection was gone. Their commander was gone. Their power erased. The Cub's army slowly began moving forward. Carefully, fearfully, they reached their leader. He was lying on his back, staring at the sky. The clouds were clearing now. Stars were visible. One guard knelt beside him. "Leader, why did you not let us stay?" The Cub's breathing was weak, because the device had a range. Anyone near him would have been erased too. He turned his head slightly. "If you stood near me, you would not be standing now." The guard's eyes filled with tears. "You planned this." The Cub gave a small nod. "I knew they would not show their real weapon unless they believed I was dying." He allowed himself to look weak. He allowed himself to bleed in front of the enemy. He forced them to believe they had already won. Only then did they bring their hidden warship closer. Only then was it in range. His army finally understood. Their leader did not refuse help because he was proud. He refused help because he needed to stand alone. He needed to become the target. A distant sound echoed from the mountains. The crashed warship burned quietly. The war was over, but the Cub leader's eyes slowly began to close. "Leader," the guard shouted. The Cub whispered one final line before losing consciousness. "Make sure they never fear the sky again." And for the first time in years, the battlefield was truly silent. The battlefield was silent, not the normal silence after war. This was different. No enemy signals, no warship shadows, no distant engines in the sky, only wind. The Cub leader lay still on the cold ground. His soldiers surrounded him, forming a protective circle. No one spoke. They were waiting, waiting for movement, waiting for breath, waiting for a miracle. His closest guard pressed a hand near the Cub's chest. "There is still a pulse," he whispered, but it was weak, very weak. Far away, inside the burning wreck of the fallen warship, something moved. The enemy commander was alive. His armor was damaged. Sparks flew from broken systems, but his eyes were full of rage. "That Cub," he growled. "He tricked us." He activated a final emergency signal, a small backup weapon, hidden, forgotten, dangerous. One last strike. If he could not win the war, he would erase the leader. A red that appeared on the Cub leader's chest. His guard saw it. Sniper lock. The soldiers raised shields instantly, but the shot was not coming from the ground. It came from the sky. A hidden drone, cloaked and silent, powered up above them. The Cub's eyes suddenly opened. Slowly, painfully, he felt it, the danger. Even while barely alive, his instincts were sharp. He pushed himself up. The guard tried to stop him. "Leader, no, you cannot stand." But the Cub forced himself to his feet. Blood ran down again from his wound. The red dot followed his movement. He understood immediately. The backup strike. The enemy was desperate. His soldiers formed tighter ranks around him. "We will block it," they shouted. The Cub looked at them. His voice was broken, but firm. "Step back." They froze. "Not again. Not now. Leader, please." "Step back," he roared. Even in weakness, his command carried weight. The soldiers slowly obeyed, tears in their eyes. He turned toward the sky. The drone decloaked, small, sharp, deadly. The shot fired. Time slowed. The guard closed his eyes. But the Cub leader moved, not away from the beam, toward it. He grabbed a fallen metal shield from the ground and planted it into the dirt. The beam hit. The shield exploded. Energy burst outward. The Cub was thrown backward. Smoke covered everything. When it cleared, the drone was gone, destroyed by its own overloaded blast. But the Cub leader lay motionless again. This time, there was no movement. The guard rushed to him. "Leader, leader." No response. Silence. The soldiers bowed their heads. The wind grew stronger. And then, a deep sound echoed across the sky. Not enemy, not mechanical. Different. A human fleet entered orbit. Silver ships broke through the clouds. They had received the Cub's secret signal days ago. They arrived too late for the war, but not too late for him. Medical teams rushed down. Advanced human medics surrounded the Cub leader. One human officer looked at the guards. He activated a core eraser alone. The guard nodded. The human shook his head slowly. That device destroys energy and life force. No one survives it. The guard clenched his fists. He will. The humans worked quickly. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, a soft machine sound beeped steady. Heartbeat stabilized. The Cub leader was alive. Barely, but alive. Days later, the battlefield was clear. The mountain still smoked where the warship crashed. The Cub leader stood again, bandaged, weaker, but standing. His army gathered before him, not because he ordered them, because they wanted to. The humans stood beside them, not above, not leading. Equal. The Cub looked at his people. "You follow my order," he said quietly, "even when you did not understand." One soldier stepped forward. "We understand now. You stood alone, so we would not have to." The cub's eyes moved toward the sky. It was clear, blue, peaceful. "They believe strength is size," he said. "They believe power is fear." He paused. "But strength is sacrifice." Silence filled the air. Then, slowly, every soldier knelt. Not forced, not commanded. Respect. The cub leader did not smile. He simply looked at the horizon. The war was over. The enemy would not return, because they learned something that day. The smallest leader, bleeding and alone, had more courage than their entire fleet. And the sky no longer belonged to fear. It belonged to those brave enough to stand beneath it, even when bleeding, even when alone,